I was 37 and working as a feature writer when I got to interview Bobbi Brown, the famous makeup artist and businesswoman. Like most baby boomers, she was turning 50 that year. And when I asked her how she felt about it, there was a pause. I started to feel like maybe I'd touched a nerve or something. She asked me how old I was, and then she said, "Anne-Marie, you are going to love it." She told me everything gets easier. She told me everything she knew I was worrying about at that moment would fall away. She said it was amazing. I was shocked. This was contrary to everything I'd ever heard about aging up until this point. I was terrified of it. And I mean, just look at the way we talk about women of this age. The unpalatable truth must be faced that all postmenopausal women are castrates. No woman can be sure of escaping the horror of this living decay. Thank you, Robert Wilson. David Rubin, once the ovaries stop, the very essence of a woman stops. And Sigmund Freud. After women have lost their genital function, their character often undergoes peculiar alteration. They become quarrelsome, vexatious, and overbearing, petty and stingy. And then there's the social media memes we see today. They call it menopause because mad cow disease was taken. This is what I think I look like when I'm having a hot flash. This is what I actually look like. 7 witches of menopause. Itchy, bitchy, sweaty, sleepy, bloated, forgetful, and psycho. It gets worse. Game over. Maybe this is the way you've been used to thinking about it too. It makes sense. We have been trash talking menopausal women for decades, but it's a big lie. And the truth is, everything is changing. Older women have been quietly awesome this whole time, and now women are shaking off the stereotypes. Menopause is going through a major rebrand. It's having a moment. Let me tell you how I found out about it. About 5 years after my interview with Bobbi Brown in my 40s, weird things started happening to me. I had tingling on my scalp and on my legs and arms. I always had a sore neck and a terrible sore throat. I kept waking up in the middle of the night. I was always exhausted. I dislocated both of my shoulders doing yoga. I would stew and ruminate. I was so anxious, always fighting a sense of lurking dread. I exercised like a crazy person to try and feel better. And on the weekends, I would drink too much just to relax. I was always at the doctor. And one night at 3 a.m., I woke up with a terrible pain in my chest. I was so scared. I called myself an ambulance. The EMTs and the ER doctors all took me really seriously. I was there for hours. And later I had a full cardio workup. Nothing was wrong. Then all my eyelashes fell out twice. And then I had my first panic attack. Looking back, I was drowning. And I was so scared because I was sure something was terribly wrong with me that no one could seem to find. I now know that there's something called perimenopause. Perimenopause is all the years before menopause, maybe a decade or more. Your periods can be regular, but your estrogen is rising and falling, and your progesterone and testosterone have already started to fall. This creates so many symptoms. People are always trying to count how many. Google says 34, but others say 40, 60, 80. I've even heard 100. The thing is, when it's your hormonal function, it's kind of an all systems situation. There's really no point in counting. You probably know about hot flashes and brain fog, but do you know about burning tongue? Formication, which is the feeling of little bugs crawling on your skin. It gets really serious too. Depression and thoughts of suicide. Perimenopause is what had been wreaking havoc on my life for years. And I'm a journalist. I specialize in health. How did I not know about this? Sure, denial played a factor, but I also saw more than a dozen healthcare practitioners over the years, 2 GPs, 2 gynecologists, 2 therapists, a cardiologist, all those EMTs and ER doctors, a trichologist, that's a hair loss specialist, a naturopath. How did they not know this? Well, I've since found out that most doctors don't know anything about perimenopause or menopause. They don't even learn about it in medical school. And if they do, it's an hour or 2 tops. Then there's something called the menopause management vacuum. It seems like it would fit in gynecology, but that specialty is really busy with things like endometriosis and infertility. And family medicine and internal medicine would be good, but they don't want it either. This all needs to change because right now there are millions of women all over the world feeling kind of like I was, some of them in an emotional and physical chaos with no idea why. And because once my eyes were open, everything got better. Menopause isn't scary. Menopause is simply a moment in time. When you haven't had your period for a year, no one can predict when it's going to happen, kind of like your first period, which is why sometimes they call it second puberty. It's a natural process, and it does sometimes require a lot of changes to deal with. There's hormone therapy, nutritional overhauls, supplements. Once you know what you're dealing with and you find help, it's actually pretty manageable. And contrary to what we've been told, menopause is not a problem. It's not an estrogen deficiency. That's a marketing term. It's also not an accident of living too long. We know from archaeology and foraging communities that we've always gone through menopause. And evolutionary biology actually has a pretty beautiful theory about why humans and whales go through menopause. And yes, whales do go through menopause. The grandmother's hypothesis suggests that menopause may have actually evolved for us because we are so much more useful to society and our communities once child rearing is out of the way. The historian Susan Mattern wrote in her excellent book, The Slow Moon Climbs, fertility ends precisely so we can do other things. Either way, this is not our mother's menopause. Gen X women are switching this up. We are talking about it. We are talking about it on Clubhouse, and we're making TikToks. Gen X celebrities are using their platforms to talk about their experiences, women like Gabrielle Union and Taraji P. Henson and Selma Hayek. Pamela Adlon, the director and writer, made it a central part of her brilliant show, Better Things. Viola Davis did a bit on Jimmy Kimmel, and it was absolutely hilarious. I think menopause needs a full rebranding. There's nothing wrong with going through menopause. It's an absolutely natural part of being a beautiful, wise woman who's just living her life. Gwyneth Paltrow just said that on her podcast. Michelle Obama last summer, the changes, the highs and lows and hormonal shifts, there is power in that. We are taught to be ashamed of it and to not even seek to understand it or explore it for our own edification, let alone to help the next generation. And Oprah, so many women I've talked to see menopause as a blessing. Over in the UK, the revolution is well underway. It's actually a hashtag, menopause revolution. Celebrities over in the UK talk about this all the time. British Parliament is debating menopause and going to add it as part of a sweeping change to women's health. HR departments are creating menopause leave. They actually put menopause on the high school curriculum. And globally, the tipping point is coming. By 2025, 1.1 billion women are going to be going through menopause, more than ever before. This is so big that Anu Dugal, one of the founding partners in the new venture capital firm, Female Founders Fund, has called menopause the next fertility. We are a $600 billion business opportunity. And it's true. Every week, I see new companies entering the space offering us solutions. There's psychedelic biotech, CBD and THC, red light therapy for vaginal rejuvenation, cooling clothes, apps. Menopause is the next big thing in women's health. And you can expect to see it in your pop culture, in your supermarkets, and maybe even in billboards around town. Slowly, we are letting go of the negative perceptions and the stigma, and of the idea that menopause is the end of anything. If you know about perimenopause, you won't struggle alone like I did. If you view menopause as a beginning, you'll have the courage to make changes for the rest of your life. You might leave a relationship that isn't working, or a job that's no longer right for you. You might just invent something that the world really needs. Look at Bobbi Brown, 63 years old in a pandemic, launching her second makeup empire, Jones Road Beauty. I turned 50 last year, and I finally felt exactly what she had told me about. In place of youthful fertility, I found peace and a new sense of purpose, a comfort with myself, freedom from caring what other people think. Traditional Chinese medicine calls this time a second spring, and that feels just about right. I got so inspired, I decided to launch a global platform to inform and encourage other women going through perimenopause. I call it Hot Flash Inc. I am so excited about the rest of my life, and I have so much to do. Looking back on my hellish 40s, I can see I was walking through my own heroine's journey. And I think that's at the heart of what this transition is really about. After we've been taught to take care of everyone first, we are being called at this time to answer some of life's biggest questions: who we really are, and how are we going to take care of us? This will involve some dark nights of the soul and points where we don't know if we can go on. And some of us won't. But if we can keep going, just like Bobbi Brown told me, there is so much goodness on the other side. And we can make this so much better for everyone else who will go through this too. One day recently, my young niece said, "Auntie Annie, what do you write about most when you're freelancing?" And her little brother said, "Menopause, remember?" I was so touched and proud. These two little people are going to grow up without any weirdness at all about this word. And why would there be? Half of us go through this. I am calling on the global perimenopause. I mean, all of us. Trans, non-binary, Black, Indigenous, Latina, queer, disabled, white, cisgender, mothers, child-free, all of us. And I'm calling on all the people who love and support us too. Let's change the way we talk about this, change the way we look at this. Let's change the way we think about this, because this is going somewhere good, and we are just getting started. Thank you.